really appreciate more time for the community at large to read that and to ask meaningful questions. Besides the visual impact, which a lot of people have already spoken about, and the lack of SHPO input and stuff like that, I wanted to talk about how I thought the project could be interesting for density of Kingston. But I'm wondering, is this really the right idea? And what's really innovative about a mixed-use retail space with more sort of boutique hotel in Kingston? What really interested some of us on the DRI was the affordable housing aspect of this. And I'm not sure if I have the right numbers here, but it seemed to be suggested that $1,300 or $1,400 for a one-bedroom is market rate and affordable. And I'm here to tell you all that it's not. What kind of stores are going to be put in a retail space? Are they going to be large block stores that can afford rents like that? Do those jobs pay people enough to live in this building with supposedly affordable housing? So I'm not really just thinking about the exterior, which is important too, but about the content of this project. What is innovative about this idea? I could get behind it if I heard something that was truly innovative and took the input of the community and really optimized that, but I'm not hearing that right now. So I would just like more time and more information, and I'd like for us to be taken seriously and not have this process just march forward without, constructive feedback from the community. It just feels like it's not very democratic, and it would be a real shame to have more of the same in Kingston. Kingston's a very special place. Thank you.
Barbara Scott.
Hi. Barbara Scott. I'm 66 Spruce Street in the Rondout. And thank you very much for all your time and consideration on this. I know it's a very complicated project. I did want to say that the uses and designs of the Kingstonian project need to be thoroughly reviewed and considered. There needs to be a categorical review of seeker and the historical requirements. This is an opportunity to establish a clear, transparent process that includes establishing sound criteria. Kingston is already attracting new visitors and residents. The reasons people are coming is for the beauty, walkability, and the fantastic community here. To reiterate, Kingston is already a big draw, and it is now in a position to require that projects meet historical and design standards. We can ask for projects that complement the history and needs and aesthetics of Kingston. Thank you.
Thank you. Beetle Bailey.
Hi, I'm Beetle Bailey, 20 Henry Street, Kingston. So, the last time any group of outsiders seemed so bound and determined to destroy Kingston, they were wearing red coats and flying a Union Jack. I mean, I'm not going to harp any further, at least today, on how badly this will affect housing and affordability in Kingston, since most of the responses to that seem to equal things like, are there not workhouses? Let them eat cake, that sort of response. The fact is, no luxury eyesore will benefit this town to the tune of the dollar sign so many seem to hear coming from the as-yet-built Kingstonian. They'll wait for their wallets to fill, and others will wait to lose their homes and places they can afford to live and work and buy things. And I fear that only one of those outcomes will actually come true. Before this town finally sinks under the weight of forgotten, and they will be forgotten, the Kingstonian and others like it, before it sinks under the weight of forgotten luxury eyesores and edsels, this sharp divide in the community over luxuries that few here who already live here can actually afford is going to just make the rancor deeper and more bitter. So, before America was even fully an idea, let alone a more perfect union, a bunch of greedy, red-coated bastards tried to destroy this place. They tried to burn it to the ground and trod the ashes into the mud and make sure nothing else ever grew here and lived here and thrived here. And Kingston fought back, and that's what it should do now. We don't know all that this will do to the community, but I guarantee you most of it will not be good for the people that already live here. So, sorry, I'm a little... But, like I said, the last time it was the British. And from the look of things, they should have just dropped the Union Jacks and the Redcoats and picked up degrees in land development and real estate, because that would have gotten the job done in a way that sticks. This is already dividing the community, and that won't change once the Kingstonian is built, especially if there isn't more research, more time, more talking and listening, and more dedication from every side of this argument
30 seconds.
to the heart, the soul, the body, and the face of this community. And as it stands, the face of the community just looks like everywhere else. Kingston Soul is being turned into everywhere else, and it's not. It's already a place of diversity, and it needs to stay that way, and it won't if all that lives here is New York City's money until it gets bored and moves on. So please take the time that you have to deliberate and look as deep as possible
Time.
before you decide. Thank you.
Gloria Waslin.
Hi, I'm Gloria Waslin. I have been going to Uptown Kingston Business Association meetings for about 7 years. From the previous mayor to this mayor, we've been talking about parking and the need for parking uptown, and I'm sure throughout Kingston. I also hear that businesses are looking for more business, and Uptown used to be extraordinarily vibrant, and it's lost a lot of the vibrancy. And as a member of Cuba, as somebody associated with my friend Kerry Henderson, who owns a building at 288 Fair Street, we're all looking forward to the Kingstonian. I'm sure that there are lots of issues that have been wisely brought up for consideration, but the concept of bringing a beautiful place that people could live in, and I was invited to a fabulous quiche, I've got to say, at Amy and Lou Kirshner's. They're in Florida, and they were urging me to get more walkable places for people who are over 65, who are looking to sell their 5-bedroom homes because their kids and grandkids have moved out, and they are absolutely looking forward to moving into the Kingstonian. And they had a wonderful point of view, which was they want to sell their house to people who come up to stay in the hotel and fall in love with Kingston, and then they can sell their house to like the next generation. So I think there are virtues of the Kingstonian that we may not be able to see from this vantage point. So the fact that people would be interested to move to Uptown Kingston, not to have to move away from Kingston where they've lived all their lives, to have a better situation for their elder years, is very appealing for a lot of people, and I think that that's worth considering too. So I'm sure everything will get worked out, because this is a beautiful city that every point of view is considered, and I have faith in this entire group to work things through. And thank you.
Thank you. That was the last of the speakers who have signed up to make any statements. If there's anyone else wishing to speak.
I said I did my talked a little thing, but he finished, so I'm keeping it. The Kingstonian is being presented as a panacea. Panacea for parking, a panacea for...
Tanya, we know you.
Oh,
Can you just
Tanya.
introduce yourself?
Thanks.
Thank you.
Tanya Garment, 102 Wirt Street. Yeah, we have a parking problem. The answer is not more parking, and everyone doesn't think that. The answer is parking management. The mayor spoke about parking management shortly before we applied for the DRI. Unfortunately, we never really got any real parking management. We just started charging for parking lots. That's not parking management. The Kingstonian developers, if there are people who, there are so many people, developers who want to develop uptown. We actually had 2 applicants for the request for RFQ, Charles Blakeman and Andrew Wright. Both of those people could have developed this site. The mayor decided not to go with the RFQ and give it to the Boneras and Herzogs because they were doing the project next door. Huge projects come with some problems. It gets so big, and there's going to be some problem with that. What we're seeing with this is that they're requesting to close a city street so that they can fit their garage ramps on the street. The parking is not public. It's not public parking. It's proposed to be parking available to the public. And they're going to be asking for many variances for parking. Maybe you believe that we've got too high standards for the requirements for on-site parking, and I would agree. But this is not going to add parking. This is going to be a development that will ask for a lot of parking waivers. And more parking is not the answer. We need parking management. More housing is not the answer if it's going to raise the prices. If you have a luxury building, then the prices go up all over. It doesn't work the way that people are talking about it. You don't just provide some luxury housing and then that alleviates the middle income housing. It doesn't work that way. We have a lot to do with planning in the city that we're about to start accomplishing with hiring a consultant to fix our zoning. Hopefully,
30 seconds.
Kingston Plaza will be allowed to have some housing in it. The malls are dead. Why are we not building apartments in Kingston Plaza? Best practice says you don't close a city street. You don't close a city street to traffic. 2 hours of watching the traffic does not make a traffic study that you should be paying much attention to. And a traffic study is diverting the attention away from the fact that we're doing something that is bad practice, closing a street to traffic. Thank you very much.
Anybody else?
Evening. My name is Robert Hansenstern. I own 334 Wall Street, which is right across from the project. It doesn't sound like the group here is too far apart, that you can't find some kind of compromise in the middle. You have a historian who knows the correct way to do buildings. You have others who are concerned about traffic and so forth. I mean, I've been in that spot for years, so I know the traffic going down the hill. I go there every day. It's really not that bad. It's not a super traffic thing. In fact, for ages, you couldn't even turn down that road. There was a sign there and so forth. So it's just a matter of realizing that you have to get the architects to make a building that will eventually, if they leave, they go bankrupt for any reason, you can sell because it'll be part of the city. And they could not pay their taxes, so those buildings would be your buildings and so forth. So you have to make something that's visually really nice. As a photographer, I've seen, Uptown go through its different stages and so forth. You also have to have somebody watching over the project. I mean, we've all seen how the canopy project went. Sounded good, you had the drawings and everything, but in the final doing of the project, again, we're stuck with, something that what are we going to do with? Build it new, do something new, and so forth. So there has to be somebody totally in control of that, and actually in control of the money. If they're getting $6 million, I'm not sure exactly how that scenario is, they should be getting that at the back end of the project, not at the beginning, using that money to start and do, and then all of a sudden, the end of the project, they don't have enough money left, and you're stuck with a halfway finished building. And concerning the affordable housing, I don't understand. I guess you can't take part of that money, take $1 million and fix up a bad building or something, but there should be, we must be saving some money with that money coming into the city, that some money could be set aside from the city.
30 seconds.
Fix a building, and then you've got the housing. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Dominic Vanacore. I own the building on 34 North Front Street, 335 Wall, corner of Wall North Front, right across from the project. I've owned that building for 23 years. I live in the building, so I do business there. I live there. Take care of that corner pretty much. All I can say is I've heard a lot of different arguments about diversity, and it's going to, push people out of the city. But I do know from being in that neighborhood for 25 years, 35 years working in Kingston, that every capital project that's been built in the city or focused on has been directed at affordable housing. And I'm definitely not opposed to it, and I love that they're building more, and they have two projects going on right now. I do strongly believe, though, that there should be a project that's directed for people that do not qualify for affordable housing. I know my mother, per se, if she wanted to move to Kingston, there should be a place, like, if you really thought about it right now, if you wanted to sell your house and move to Kingston, once you sell your house, you're not eligible to live in the Stuyvesant, the Governor Clinton, Yasmin Towers, any of those facilities, the Lace Factory, the two new places that are being built. They're all in the town so that people can walk around and be part of the community. I do believe that there should be a project for people to be able to move to in Kingston, that they can, that's part of diversity, is having people that have different socioeconomic levels. Having a business on that corner, I have a hair salon, I have a cafe, I have an Airbnb. We attract all different kinds of people, and we need more different kinds of people. I know the Kingsley has definitely brought another level of people to Kingston that probably would see in Uptown Kingston because of the level of the hotel. I don't think that we should have stuff that push people out, but I definitely do know that from being in the plaza for 12 years, when my salon was in the plaza, it was very difficult for me to be uptown. The connection is not there. I do believe that the design that's going on now is going to actually make a connection. So people that live in Dutch Village, the plaza, can walk uptown easily, and people that are uptown can get to the plaza easily. I do think that's an important factor of this project. I do understand the reservations about the designs, and I think that they'll work on that. I mean, our city represents every era of American architecture from, back in the 16th century all the way up to the 1940s, the Woolworth building in the 50s. Why can't we have something that represents this time period, the glass menageries in the 60s? So I'm full support of the project, just because I know from being in trying to do business here, we need to have people on the street. We need to have people come to buy
30
things.
seconds.
And I might want to live there as well. So there you go. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Ruth Mandelbaum. I live in 269 Richmond Parkway, town of Ulster. I'm sorry, can't hear? Pull
Yeah,
it down.
just push
Oh,
it down.
sorry. Ruth Mandelbaum, Richmond Parkway, town of Ulster, though part of my backyard's in the city of Kingston. Thank you to the gentleman who just spoke. When I first heard about this project, which I think was over a year ago, I quickly Googled to find out where I could leave myself on the waiting list. I was so excited because I was starting to feel like a prisoner in my home, and I think I am part of the demographic that was just described. And I think there are a lot of us right here in the city of Kingston. I wouldn't be surprised if your apartments were filled up with people who were not from out of town, but just people like me who are ready to sell our houses to to a young family and be able to spend the next 20 years here living and spending our money in the city of Kingston instead of having to go to Arizona or Florida or California. Just to be able to stay here. I never thought that there was going to be anything controversial about this project, so I've just been, I went to the initial Chamber of Commerce meeting to hear things, and I did watch the YouTube video of the last public meeting, so I am more aware of many of the issues that are coming up. There must be something wrong with my aesthetics, because I looked at all the digital views, and I didn't think it was so terrible, but, you can't even see it from most of the views that I can see. But that's another thing, and what the gentleman just brought up, I'm very happy to hear, is I don't ask anyone to feel sorry for me. I am so blessed to be able to be in this position, but there are not a lot of housing options other than being in a private home for people who are lucky enough to be, baby boomers who are retiring and do have some means. There's not a lot of things for us in the city of Kingston, and to have something where potentially you can have walkability. Right now, I'm creating a much larger carbon footprint that I should have to, and we might be able to give up a vehicle. Who knows? I don't know what will ultimately happen with this project, but I know whatever was going on in Bel Air took, like 18 years? So if this does drag on, then, this can't be one of my options. I'm hoping it will be an option for the retiring baby boomers. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay.
Thank you, Sue. Okay, board members. We're looking at a special meeting of the planning board for 9/11, okay? Public comment, written only, on the project will stay open until 4 p.m. the Friday preceding the 9/11 meeting, which will be 9/6.
Correct.
Okay. Do you have anything further? No. Okay, I make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Second, Robert J. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.